Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Two Limes and a Lemon podcast and episode 2 of our Isn't It Romantic series, keeping Valentine's going for a little bit longer. But in true form for us, we haven't picked those typically sappy love stories that would make a Hallmark movie fan happy. We've gone for movies that have a romantic undertone but are presented a little differently. Just like today's entry for Forbidden Love in historical Japan, with stunning cinematography, amazing costumes and a heartfelt love that spans a lifetime. For these are not the memoirs of an empress nor of a queen. These are memoirs of another kind. Welcome to our review of Memoirs of a Geisha.
Are we having theme music? Like, how do we... Is it just start with us talking?
Yeah, Dave's going to do us some, a jingle, I think.
Dave.
Nat.
Danielle.
Two Limes and a Lemon.
So hello everyone, I hope you're ready for another exciting episode today. I'm your host for the episode, Nat, and I'm joined by my two lovely co-hosts, Danielle and Dave. Say hi guys.
Hello.
Konnichiwa.
So before we get into the movie of the day, we'll take a look at what we've been consuming this week. Now that doesn't necessarily mean what you've been eating, but rather what media you've been consuming, whether it be games, books, film or TV. Dave, we're going to start with you this week.
See, I had a bit of a trouble thinking of what I was going to say for this. Mm-hmm. All I can think of is that game show. What's it called? The Floor.
The Floor.
Yeah, I was like, what? Literally, work's just taking up everything. I tried to watch Sophie's Choice today, and it didn't go down well. I was like, I can't be asked to watch that.
Sophie's Choice isn't like a light, I'm going to watch something on a Sunday afternoon sort of film.
Well, I've never seen it before. The only thing I saw of it...
It's real dark.
Well, I went with The Floor. I'm going with The Floor. So The Floor is a game show where 100 contestants are on the floor of the studio, and they've all got a gold square. And Rob Brydon, who's the Welsh kind of like Gavin and Stacey actor, he gets two people up from their squares, and they've got different categories. So mine would be Lord of the Rings, for example. And then it would show characters from Lord of the Rings, and I've got to say the name of the picture. And it keeps going back and forth until I run out of time or they run out of time. And you get if you get it wrong, you get a 3-minute penalty or something. Not 3 minute, 3 second penalty if you skip or something. It's all right. It's fun. It's I guess it's because they've all got little characters on their little podiums.
What have you been up to, Danielle?
I should be watching my Oscar films, but I think I've still got about a month to go, and so I've not been very good at doing that. And probably because when I'm tired at night, my comfort recently has been Love Island All-Stars. Mm-hmm. So I am late to the Love Island game. I just discovered Love Island USA in the summer, and so it came up on my Peacock app that there was this Love Island All-Stars, and it's got the British people on it. Mm-hmm. And it's a very there's very different sort of vibe to the British contestants to the US contestants. They all want to be famous and all want to be influencers and stuff, but there's kind of a sassy difference to the UK ones, maybe because the show's been around longer. It's one of those things that it takes a few episodes from, you watch the first episode and you're like, oh, I'm just getting to meet all of these kind of annoying people. I don't really care. And then you get maybe 3 or 4 episodes in and you're fully invested in the drama of it. And believing in these relationships that for the most part are going to collapse as soon as they're out.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So what have you been doing next?
This week I finished watching the series Wayward on Netflix. It's a drama starring Toni Collette that's about one of those camps that you have in America that parents send their wayward teens to.
I watched this as well.
Oh, you've seen it? Cool. This one is a bit different because, none of them camps, which you've seen all the Netflix documentaries pretty much about them for being a bit weird, but this one's especially culty, to the fact where all the townspeople that are outside are also affected by the teachings of the camp. It was good. I did enjoy it, but I did get really annoyed by some of the choices that characters made in it. But it was good at making you think, like, some of the characters that you didn't think deserved to be there, they then kind of turned into, like, the worst characters, and the ones that you thought were the horrible people were the ones that you ended up, like, kind of cheering for at the end.
Didn't you say this kind of show would have made a good kind of, like a telltale game where you have to pick the choices? And
yeah, I did say that. I think that setting would make quite a good one to be, like, what are your allegiances kind of going to be with, like, are you going to, like, pander to the councillors so you get, like, goody two-shoes points, or are you going to try and escape with, like, the other people?
Maybe that's the big project we do next, Nat. We'll do some kind of, like...
Maybe. We'll try and make our own one.
But with Wayward, there was also sort of this, like, is it supernatural? Is it just mind control?
Yeah. Like, it was a bit trippy.
Weirdness about it. Yeah. I thought Toni Collette was amazing.
She was really good, actually.
Most everything I've seen her in, I'm just...
She's the one from Hereditary, right?
She is, yeah, the mum in Hereditary. I suppose you remember her snoring away in the cinema?
No, what?
Oh.
So we went to... that's basically all I've got to say about Wayward anyway, but we went to see Hereditary and Dave fell asleep and he only woke up because the girl's head got knocked off and everyone in the cinema was like...
I was like, whoa, what happened? I just woke up
it was hilarious.
Dead kid's head on the floor with all those like ants all over it, and I was like,
"Yeah,
what's going on?"
It was funny.
How do you fall asleep?
I was very tired. I had a very long day.
You need to start drinking coffee.
That's what I said. Because he fell asleep in Michael last week. I was like, you can't review something you've not seen all the way through. So now on to the main event and 2005's movie Memoirs of a Geisha. Based on the book written by Arthur Golden, with the movie being directed by Rob Marshall, who usually directs some big musicals such as Chicago, Into the Woods, Mary Poppins Returns, and the 2023 live-action version of The Little Mermaid. I can't actually remember if I read the book first or saw the movie, but whatever order they went in, it was in quick succession. I remember loving it as I was really into the actress. I'm going to butcher the name here, but I think it's pronounced Zi Zhang. Anybody else want to confirm if that's right or not?
I think there's probably, like, nuances to... Because, like, super accurate pronunciation of Chinese names is off, like, we often get a little bit wrong, but I think it's because we're not used to pronouncing certain things, so I think that is
okay, we'll go with Zi Zhang then.
Caucasian version of the name, which is acceptable.
Okay. But back then I'd loved her in things like Hero, House of Flying Daggers, and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. There is a little controversy over the casting of Chinese and Malaysian actors in Japanese roles. But we'll have a little talk about that later. But for anyone who's listening that hasn't seen the film, obviously I'd recommend you stop the podcast and go watch it for yourself. But if not, here is a short summary of the plot. Young Chio and her sister are sold by their father when her mother becomes sick and he can no longer care for them. Chio is placed in a prestigious okiya that houses geisha, whereas her sister is placed in the pleasure district to be no more than a common prostitute. For the first part of the movie, we follow Chio trying to find her sister and escape the okiya. However, once that fails, we enter the second part of the movie where Chio meets the chairman, is told she can no longer be a geisha as she's racking up too much debt. And of course, she tries to navigate precariously around the wrath of the current living geisha of the okiya, Hatsumomo. But when a rival geisha, Mamaha, takes Chio's tutelage into her own hands, she sees a way to get back to the chairman, casting off her name of Chio and becoming Sayuri. Unfortunately, geisha don't get to make their own decisions when it comes to the companions that they keep, and she has to impress numerous other powerful men to succeed in her plan. But in the last part of the movie, World War II arrives, almost ending the traditional world of Japan and the geisha custom. So when Sayuri is called back to become geisha for the Americans, can she finally get with the chairman, or is she destined to be alone? So, first question. Have you seen Memoirs of a Geisha before?
I think I had. I remembered sort of broad sweeps of it. I didn't remember all of the plot to it. And honestly, I don't remember if I read the book or not. It was so popular, you know, in, I think, 97 it came out. It seems like something I might have read, but I don't remember if I read it or not.
I remember the name of the film, but I've never seen it at all. I thought it was going to be completely different from what I watched when we watched it. So I had like a different expectation. I thought it was going to be something completely different, but then obviously it went from this sort of like from a child to when she's older and loves stuff, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, you did say you were shocked when she started as a child. You said you thought she was going to start out as already like a geisha.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be something else, like just her like being a geisha and running around and making friends with other geishas. I don't know. Instead, it was this whole like...
Well, basically a lifetime.
Yeah, it's one of those sort of like life stories like Forrest Gump. But I will say, is it Rob Marshall, the director?
Yeah.
When he was telling me his list, he seems to do a lot of films that's female lead characters.
Yeah, that's true.
Like he's doing a lot of that.
Yeah, Chicago, I mean, definitely.
Yeah, and Little Mermaid and Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins.
Pleasantly surprised with this movie. I really did enjoy it. I thought it was a nice
Which
film.
is like a feat in itself, because every movie I've picked recently you've hated. So.
However...
When he watched it and he was like, I'm not giving it a 1 this week, I was like, yes!
Yeah, however though, like it's definitely a 2000s movie. Was it 2005? Yeah, for its time, for like just people filming whatever they want and like casting wise. And
I don't even know if it's a 2000s thing. I think for good cause. In recent years, we recognize that when we're telling, everybody is interested in stories like this, the story of this, like, geisha culture, which is, for years sort of hidden behind
secrecy.
Yeah, it's like mystical, kind of not know what it is. And
in thinking of it in today's standards, if it were written today, it would have been written by somebody Japanese. We now give people the ability to tell their own stories. The writer of this was a white guy who interviewed a bunch of geishas and gave like an amalgamation of their stories to this, and then also made it into, a compelling novel.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. This is my like shocked moment when, okay, I didn't realize that was when we was watching behind the scenes, and it was like, it's called it was Becoming a Geisha or something it was called. Like the whole movie is about how long it takes to become a geisha, and you've got to do all this hard work to put in years and years of training and learning how to dance. And then, like, in the thing that they kind of said something like that in the behind the scenes. And then they were like, so we had 6 weeks to train these girls to be geishas. And I was like, and I just was like, okay. And then it was trained by this lady who went to Japan and studied geisha culture for a year, I think it was. And she came back. And she was like, I know everything about geishas. I can train you.
Apparently she was actually named as like the only geisha that wasn't like Japanese.
Yeah, she was like the American geisha. I can see why people were a bit like, oh, it's a bit controversial now, because those kind of cultures should be probably taught by the people who are thick in with that culture. But because like when we was coming up with the credits, I said to you, Nat, I was like, that's a Chinese name. Are these Chinese? I was like, but isn't it set in Japan? And then I had a moment of like, oh, okay. Then it was like straight to Google, like, was this controversial? And it was like, yes, it was. I was like, okay. Apparently this was the first ever film in Hollywood, at least, to have like the majority of the cast as Asian actors.
Let's go into like the costumes. Obviously, that's a big part of it, with all the kimonos and the beautiful like traditional garb. Apparently, the costume designer was Colleen Atwood, and she said that they had about 250 hand-tailored kimonos that were made especially for the film.
Wow.
Did you have like a Danielle's fashion moment of the week?
I don't know if I think I tried to pick out one. Maybe like the performance outfit.
Oh yeah, with the umbrella.
To me.
The giant boots. How fast could you run on those boots, do you think?
Not at all. I don't think it would be ever get to a run. It would be more of a shuffle. A shuffle.
Wonder if the Spice Girls could have wore those.
Probably.
Sandals.
Very similar, like platforms.
For Lady Gaga.
How about you, Dave? Did you add a fashion moment of the week?
Not really. There wasn't any. Well, I mean, I just liked anything with. My favourite character by far was the antagonist, Hatsumomo. Yeah, she was just great at her role. She like knew what
she was, and she was absolutely gorgeous.
She was a very popular. She's like in some of the more famous Chinese films that made it over to Western audiences during that time, like Raise the Red Lantern. She was in like a number of like Oscar-nominated Chinese language films.
Yeah, she was really good. She popped out the door and she's like, "Don't ever go in my room again." And she's like wearing this sort of red draped thing of like power housing. I think that was it. She was just like wearing this sort of red thing. And
well, obviously she wears a lot of like black kimono against like Sayuri's like cherry blossom, very light kimonos. Like it's very like
bold,
visually like who's meant to be the good and who's meant to be the bad sort of thing.
She's also very like, for the most part, except whenever she's out doing the entertaining, she's very boudoir looking. Like she's got like holding the kimonos sort of closed on her, and her hair is sort of like bedhead almost.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As opposed to Mama Ha. She also, like, we see her out of the performance aspect, and she just looks like Earth Mother. Like she just looks like at home and comfortable, but not like a sex goddess.
But it's funny about you saying that Mama Ha's like the Earth Mother, because when I was researching it, they said that like there's 4 main geisha in it are Sayuri, Mama Ha, Pumpkin, and Hatsumomo, and each of them were meant to represent like a different element of nature. So Sayuri was water, Pumpkin was wood, which they do mention in the film. Mama Ha is apparently wind, and then Hatsumomo is fire, because she's obviously, 1, she starts a fire, and 2, she's just so fiery. So I think that's quite a nice little thing, like you've got these like 4 different sort of elements opposite each other, I suppose.
And I guess directing that makes it easier for the actors to understand what they need to do, because weren't they all there because of the dialects, they were learning the English language.
I don't even know if they were learning the English language, they were just learning it phonetically.
Yeah, they were just learning their lines, and so that probably helped them.
I wonder how that gets directed then. I wonder if Rob Marshall had like a translator that then translated. And
yeah, he was like, he would like give his line of what he wanted people to do, and then that would get translated to one person, and that would get translated to someone else, and then someone else and then they would then say their bit, and then the translator would go through that, and then he would. So I guess it must have took a while to get shots done.
Obviously, I picked this as part of like the Valentine's series, so let's talk about the romance aspect with Sayuri and the chairman, because obviously another bit of controversy, I suppose, is the fact that there's like a 20-year age gap. That's what they're saying. The age gap is there.
I don't think my problem is the age gap. My problem is like the grooming aspect.
Yeah, that's what I said to Nat.
That he plucks her out at 9 and says, "Oh, make her a geisha so that one day, like, I can have her."
Get her ready.
But I think it's done in a way, though, because it's all very one-sided, obviously, from Sayuri's perspective, and that we never actually know right until the last moment of the movie that he had any feelings towards her whatsoever in that regards.
And I agree. I think as a, like, quote-unquote romance film, I understand her because it's somebody that was really kind to her, and she saw him with these geisha, and so as a way to get out of her sort of miserable life, the geisha lifestyle would be the vehicle to do that. I understand her journey. It's that last little bit where he finally admits, "Oh yeah, I'm the one that told Mama Hay to support you and become a geisha. Now we're in love." And
the ice bit, I remember looking at you and I was like, "Oh, he's not, is he?" But he was doing it in a kind place.
But
I think at the time,
even know.
I don't think
if she had never shown him that affection, him asking Mama Ha to make her a geisha, I don't think was so that later on down the line he could be like, "Oh, I'm going to get with her." It just so happened that then she formed an attachment.
At the time when he gave her the lolly, I don't think he had the intention of going 20 years. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
I think it was, here's a lolly. And then...
Yeah, he was just being kind to a child.
She was 15 when she started to become a geisha, weren't she? That's what you worked out.
Yeah.
So then if he's asking her to be a geisha, then that's a bit...
I think it would have worked more for me is if he had become like a father figure to her.
I would have.
And there wasn't the love, like the romance at the end, where she clearly sets up at the end too that like she's never going to become his wife. It's always a very
he has a wife and he has children.
Yeah.
In the book, it's implied that she gets pregnant with a son, and then that causes him an issue. So he then sends her to America to open a tea shop.
Well, from what I read, though, that is the life story of the main geisha that this was based on.
Yeah.
And she ended up suing the author because she didn't like the representation in the book.
It's a hard film, isn't it? Because
it is hard. It's
like I get it because I'm like, oh look, she's happy and no one's forcing her to do this. But then you're like, but was she manipulated into feeling these ways about this person because she had nothing?
What other life was she gonna have? It was never gonna be a happy life, whatever way she did it.
Well, that's what I would have liked to have figured out what happened to her sister. Her sister escaped.
She's dead. She's dead.
Yeah,
she died.
Exactly. We never actually find out.
She definitely
I think
died.
in the book it's implied that she goes back to their village and she marries like a fisherman's son.
Yeah. The other character that we never find out what happens to is Hatsumomo. Like, she has this... She almost burns down the house, and then, like, the war happens, and we never find out what happens to her again.
Yeah. Do you think she died when the war came along?
Yeah, she totally got...
Put it in the movie.
No, it's up to you how
Make it
you...
part of the story.
Do you know what? I didn't want to know that she died or not. I think that Hatsumomo, obviously, she is an exact copy, really, of Sayuri in the fact that she's in love with Koichi. Sayuri's in love with the chairman. They both can't be with the man that they want to be with because of the lifestyle that they have. So she's just an older version of Sayuri, basically, who comes to the end of her tether with it. And once she finds out that the mother and that aren't going to adopt her to take over the Akia, then what is there? What's the point of her existence, I suppose?
It all goes to crap anyway because of the war. And new bloody Americans come along and just make it even worse. And I felt so uncomfortable. Every time I saw an American in that film, I was like, oh, you shouldn't be there. You need to go back to America.
Well, they make it very much... I mean, maybe it's like a bit of a statement on the obsession of us in the Western worlds with this type of story anyhow. As soon as the war happens and the Americans are sort of occupying, they're picking up masks with these exaggerated Japanese faces on it, and they want to know about the geisha culture. And so there's this colonel who is played by the guy who played Buffalo Bill.
I know, I said it today, but I saw it. I was like, I'm sure it's Buffalo Bill.
But yeah, the Americans are clearly terrible in this.
It's that bit.
It's just sad to see the loss of traditional Japan and it becoming almost just like a tourist attraction to other cultures.
Like when they're in the pool and he's like, well, so how much is it then? Well, what do I need to pay you? And I was like, oh, you're such a creep. And he's got a little moustache as well. And it's like, oh, just...
I don't think the moustache is the problem.
Yeah, I know, but it just gives it more creep vibes. But she's like, no, you can't have me no matter what money you have.
She's like, if there was a price, you couldn't afford it.
Yeah, that was it. And I was like, go on, girl.
The one sort of triumphant story of the American occupation and whatnot is the evolution of Pumpkin, I think, who is the second apprentice geisha in this home, who is clearly less gifted than Sayuri, and she ends up being Matsumomo's second and is clearly not as loved, but is doing it because she has this promise that she is going to be adopted by Mother and be able to take over this whole thing. And then whenever Sayuri ends up sort of triumphant, it ruins her plan. And so war happens, everybody goes off to be protected, and then she comes back and she is a full-on prostitute, but enjoying the American culture and really manipulating them.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I thoroughly enjoyed her in that third part of the film.
But I mean, as much as I liked the actress that portrayed Pumpkin and how she portrayed her, I didn't like that character because Sayuri did get adopted over her, but it wasn't Sayuri's fault that she got adopted. And so for her to then betray her and bring
No.
the chairman to that
I
room.
mean, it helped her in the end, to be fair. So,
But can we discuss that whole plot? Because I didn't understand what the end game was. Because even if Pumpkin did bring, what was his name?
Nobu.
If Nobu saw it, he would have told the chairman anyhow.
He would have done, but I think it was different that he hadn't seen it in his own eyes.
Right, but if Nobu saw it, he would have been so angry that he would have
killed him, probably.
Squashed the deal that they had with the Americans, which was like very important to him. It just felt like a very ill thought out plan. And so I was glad Pumpkin kind of stuck it to her on that.
Do you know what, though? Talking about character, I actually really liked Nobu as a character.
I did too.
He was nice,
Like,
wasn't he? He was a
I
good
know,
guy.
yeah, like, even if she'd have ended up with Nobu, like, to a certain extent,
Yeah.
I would have been happy, because he had done nothing but be kind to her. He always thought of her first, and yeah, I just thought he was a really good character.
And also, he couldn't bring himself to, like, take her virginity. Like,
Yeah.
He
He didn't
even
bid
though
on it.
He clearly cared for her. He didn't bid for her
Yeah.
virginity. Like Dr. Crab.
Oh, yeah,
that was my
Dr.
next
Crab.
point. Let's talk about Dr.
Oh,
Crab.
this is the dribble man, the dribbler. Oh,
He is.
it's so creepy.
So at some point, Mama Ha, to drum up interest in Sayuri, tells her that to cut her legs so that they can go for a visit with Dr. Crab. And yeah, that scene is gross.
You know what it made me think? Like, this entire movie, I remember talking to you about it, was just like, all the men are just awful. Even her love interest, like me and Danielle were saying, and you as well a bit in that, with the grooming aspect, that he's still kind of like, he's kind of nice, but he's also doing something a bit weird on the side as well, that you can sort of take from it. So all the men in
To be
this
fair,
thing
the
is
only man I do think that is like morally sound is Nobu. In this movie.
okay, I guess so.
Yeah.
Which is the one that they obviously try and make out like, oh, because he's burnt, he's like horrific or whatever, but he is still the best man that's in the movie.
Yeah.
But I think it kind of gets to this like bigger issue than about, now granted, geisha in the culture, from what I've seen or read, is geisha were separate from courtesans. Their main role was not sexual pleasure, but it was still, it's like a fantasy, so it's a bit of sex work still as well. And, you know, you think of today, and, you know, some women or men need to turn to sex work, and it's valid work for them, and they're able to use people's desire for these things to really
make a business.
Make a business, make a life better for themselves, and oftentimes they have a bit of power over these people that are subscribing, etc., to them. And that's sort of the lens that I looked at with this story as well.
How did you feel about the contacts of the blue eyes?
I wondered if it was something digital. Like, I was like, her eyes are so, like, overly mesmerizing.
No, she definitely had contacts.
I have one note here that because I didn't take a lot of notes, I was just sort of getting into the film. But I wrote on the Mizuage scene, there was a reference to her explaining it as the eel in the cave, and I just made a little frowny face after that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
When would you say this was, when she sold her Mizuagi? Was that like 30 odd?
You know what? It's hard. I think one of the things I found with time was hard in this film, because the area with these like pleasure, like of the geisha, etc., seemed stuck in time a bit.
Yeah.
It was only the suits
there
and the
was like
cars that gave it away where it was.
Well, obviously, the end is like 1940s, isn't it? Obviously, because of the war.
Yeah.
So if we're
And
saying
in hiding about 5 years, maybe?
Yeah. Well, I'll go 1930. So that would be the buying power today of 9.9 million yen.
Which I don't think... Dr. Crab seemed to have kind of a shady-looking practice. I don't know how he was able to pay top dollar.
I mean, I don't think
like,
he's getting any return custom. He's like putting on antiseptic cream onto cuts and like licking his lips at the same time. I don't know about the health and safety of that.
9.9 million is like 47,000 £. It's a lot of money for one night.
A lot of money.
I'm disappointed that we don't get like a short time where we get to see her really enjoying being the geisha that garnered the most money.
Yeah, it's short-lived,
like
it's literally straight
very much,
after, it all goes tits up.
And then she's doing like super hard labor for 5 years to be saved, which made me wonder, like, where was everybody else? Like, clearly the mother and the mother's assistant survived. Did the chairman put them into some sort of safety, or did they just stay in the same place?
I thought they just stayed there. Yeah, I don't even think they got moved out from the looks of it.
In which case, couldn't Sayuri have managed
Stayed,
there
yeah.
instead of, like, it seemed like a real hard knock life where she was
Yeah.
dyeing fabrics for 5 years.
Did they ever say what Mamaha had to do when she got taken away?
Taken to a hospital. I thought she was going to be like a nurse.
Like, that seems a bit
But there was
better
only-
than being like
Yeah.
standing in the river doing like kimono dyeing.
I used to wear these.
yeah, just like rubbing it
Yeah.
in, basically. Oh, you got to be a proper geisha for about 2 minutes, Sayuri. Now you gotta go make kimonos.
Where did her money go? Did they hide it somewhere? With the amount of money she had just... Well, I guess that just saved her debt.
Yeah.
But I feel like she might have been able to get like a slightly better life for herself for 5 years.
Yeah. So, we will head on to talk about our favourite characters, worst characters, and favourite scenes. Who wants to go first?
So my favourite character has to be Hatsumomo, as I said before. One scene that really makes her a genius and top-notch person and actor in this movie is where she delivers a bitchy line and then she spins the fan, throws it, and catches it with her other hand. And I was like, I bet she did that in one take. And everyone was like, I didn't know she was going to do that. So I'm saying she's the best. She's just really good. Amazing performance. Least favourite character has to be Dr. Crab, just because he was a bit weird. It was a bit too weird, and I was not comfortable with that scene. Speaking of weird, I love the bit where Hatsumoto gets caught out that she's like with another boy, and then she's she has to, the lady comes out, the mum, and she's like, "What's going on here? Oh, she's been stealing money. No, she's lying. She's been sleeping with a boy. No, I haven't. She's lying." And they're all like, "Bah, bah, bah," and she grabs her, sticks her fingers on her legs, and then comes out and she's got like residue on her hand. She's like, "What's this?"
And she slaps around the face with it. That's the best bit.
It's those moments. That's my favourite scene.
Is that your favourite scene?
It's my most like shocking scene. I didn't know they were going to go there.
How about you, Danielle?
It was only in the last moments of the film that I picked Pumpkin as my favorite character. I really liked her. She seems very submissive and kind of going along with everybody else's whims, and then has a lot of agency in that last part. Now, I take your point about like maybe it wasn't needed, but I thought it really like this was like the one thing that she really wanted in life, and somebody who she had sort of gone against other people to help had ruined that for her, and she was just like, screw you at the end, and kind of ruins, well, I mean, it doesn't end up ruining Sayuri's ultimate arc in the end, but I liked her. I liked how she had sort of, at least for her own gain, embraced the Western culture's version of Eastern culture to kind of make money, live quite a nice little lifestyle at the end, even if she was a prostitute. Nobu, I think, is my second favorite. And my least favorite is the chairman. I don't understand why he was, after a certain point, he was just sort of in the background, and her like childhood love of him, I didn't feel was further justified by the adult version of him, who then was revealed to be kind of a creepy groomer at the end. How about you, Nat?
My favourite character was Nobu, although Hatsumomo was a second, like a close second. I just felt like Nobu had his morals. He, like, even, like, from the first time we see him at the sumo match where he's explaining to her about, like, the sumo wrestlers and stuff, it's like, his whole world isn't just about, like, geisha and all these things. Like, he's got other stuff going on, whereas I felt like the other men were
he
kind
loves
of...
sumo.
Yeah, he loves sumo. Everything about him, really. Obviously, he doesn't bid for her virginity, and he just seems to be like a nice guy. He sends her off to keep her safe when the war comes. Stand up guy.
And if anything, if you take the full of the movie, the chairman is always indulging in geisha. Like, there were two other girls, and then he's with Mamaha later on, and whatever. Whereas Nobu kind of stays away from the geisha until he meets Sayuri, and then it's like the one exception for him.
Yeah. So in a way, I feel like that was more of like a true love more than her kind of unrequited love for the chairman for most of the movie. My worst character is Pumpkin. I just think that she knew exactly what the manipulation of Hatsumomo was like and why Mamaha then put Sayuri forward to be the adopted one. It wasn't like she was going to be turfed out when Sayuri became like the leader almost of the Ikea. She knew that Pumpkin would have still had a place there because Sayuri had love for her. So then for her to just turn on her later on, I just thought was a bit shit on her part.
But what would her role have been? I think she would have ended up becoming like a servant. She would have been like...
Well, she would have been like training the next geisha, I suppose, because obviously when we see Sayuri at the end back at the house, they had like another young, I think they called them Maikos, in the house that would have been like the Sayuri and Pumpkin role. So, but I can't see that she would have ever kicked Pumpkin out because they'd grown up together. I don't know. I don't think that Pumpkin would ever have had dreams of being mother of the house if it wasn't for Hatsumomo. She wasn't that sort of character that would have strived for something like that. And Hatsumomo only wanted her to be the leader because that meant that Hatsumomo had control over her. So it was almost like she was the mother of the house herself. Favourite scene? What was your favourite scene, Danielle?
My favourite scene is the look that could stop traffic scene, where Mamaha takes Sayuri out into, like, is teaching her how to be a geisha and says, like, the ultimate test of being a geisha is you can stop a man in his tracks with one look. And so Mamaha does it, and this guy kind of, like, stops and looks, and then Sayuri does it, and she kind of even, like, she's calculated about it. She gazes, seeing traffic of this, like, cart of birds coming along the way, and she, like, gives one look to a guy on a bike, and then he wrecks into the cart of birds. So apparently, one of the two chickens got injured, and one chicken got injured, one chicken died.
Yeah.
And Michelle Yeoh, who is a vegetarian, made them, like, take the one chicken to the vet, and the other one had to be cooked so that the crew could eat it, so its life hadn't been lost in vain.
I think mine, originally I had, like, the montage scene of, like, it cutting between Sayuri becoming, like, getting her first lot of makeup done to become a geisha, and it's, like, the montage of her learning all the different bits that she requires to become it. But after talking about it, I remembered the scene at the sumo with Nobu, and where he's, like, being like, oh, geisha only care about dance or whatever, and then she's like, oh, well, what is, like, business but a dance between, like, businessmen, or what is, I can't remember the other one.
Well, I think she does the sumo, too. Sumo's a dance as well.
Yeah, a dance between giants, yeah. And I don't know, I just like that scene.
No, it shows that she's clever.
Yeah, she's clever. She knows how to work it. She's not just like a dunce that's just like giggling along. And also I like the bit where she's kind of looking past him to the chairman, and he's like, are you listening? And she's like, oh,
you asked me a question.
So that leads us to our scorings. Danielle, why don't you go first?
I think this is a beautiful film. I think it's something I would watch again. I think I would watch it again, maybe without that final scene that kind of grossed me out. So I will give it like a 3.5.
So in terms of story and the film, I really did enjoy it. But after learning the controversy behind it, but I'm going to put that to one side. I'm going to go with 4. Let's go with 4. It was a good film. I would happily watch it again.
I've also given it a 4. I've watched it a few times over the years. I wouldn't say it's one I watch all the time, but it's still a beautiful movie. Like the cinematography in it, the music, like just the aesthetic of like traditional Japanese style. It's just a very like rich movie to watch. So yeah, I think a 4 out of 5.
It's made me want to, like, ever since watching it, I've been looking up YouTube videos, and I kind of want to read a book. And like, I don't know if I want to read this book per se, or maybe another one, but it's a very mysterious culture, and I think it would be something interesting to learn more about. So it's kind of prompted me to want to learn more about it.
We will see you again for Dave's pick of Isn't It Romantic next week.
Isn't it romantic?
And then we'll be moving out of the romance.
We might be going back into the woods. Maybe.
Oh, maybe. What do you think, Danielle? Should we head back into the woods after that?
I think we should do one other one and then go back into the woods. I was looking at how we've spaced out into the woods, and I think one more and then back into the woods is appropriate.
I think when we go back into the woods, we do like 6.
Oh, God. Well, anyway, see you next time, guys.
Bye.